Hello and welcome, my friends, to yet another episode of the Zenpreneur podcast. This is your host, Mario Lanzarotti, and today I have a very special guest. This is one of those occasions where you speak something into existence and it will happen at some point in your life. Many, many years ago, I visited my first ever coaching seminar, and it was the Landmark Forum. Today, I have the honor of interviewing the very man who led this forum. His name is Will Steele, and he's coached over 90,000 people. Yes, you heard that right. 90,000 people in over 26 countries. He's developed a unique ability to quickly identify what blocks people from being effective in producing breakthrough results. Listening from the ontological perspective, he's able to guide you to see and conquer what you have been blind to and blocked by, enabling you to act free from your limiting beliefs and constraints. Mr. Will Steele, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mario. Thank you. It's great to be on your show.
It's an honor to have you here. So, Will, give our listeners a little bit of a perspective, because many people in the world know what Landmark is and what Landmark does, but could you just describe what Landmark is, how you got to it, and maybe tell us a little bit about your story with your experience with it and how you got to being here today?
Oh gosh, that's quite a long question, right? So, what Landmark is it's an enterprise, a company that presents lots of programs, but the foundation program is called the Landmark Forum, and I was one of the people lucky enough to lead that. I led it for 15 years, all around the world. The headquarters are in San Francisco, and I'm actually from the UK. I live in London. So I was very lucky that, when the forum popped up in Brazil or Colombia or, South America, South Africa, different locations, they'd send me because, obviously, I'm a foreigner. So, probably I can speak the language, but, I don't speak Portuguese. I speak very little bit of Spanish, some Italian. I speak really quite good French. So I also used to go to Montreal and do translated forums there. So the organization is just worldwide, and really the foundation of the course is to take away all the stuff that's disempowering you, blocking you, really distinguish what it is to be human, and be able to be responsible for all our fixed ways of being and acting. I don't lead that work myself now. They've got specific distinctions that they use to create a result in 3 days and an evening. So it's all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Around about middle of Sunday afternoon, boom, everybody kind of gets a big transformation. And you can talk about it and what it is and all of that stuff, but it's actually an experience where you actually get really present. You really come into the present moment. And there's a real freedom opens up there, and a freedom to be able to create who you are and what you want for your life. So, the programs subsequent to the forum are about building from that. They do an advanced course where you create a future, like who you want to be in the future, who you want to be in your life, and then implementing that into your life. And I led that for 15 years, the forum, and then left at the beginning of the pandemic when there was no more live programs. So there's no traveling around, no flying around. So I didn't need so many forum leaders. And for me, it was a blessing because I I committed to it. So I wasn't going to break my word. I wasn't going to leave, but this was the opportunity. And so I started coaching. And, first you've got to kind of deprogram yourself from the automatic language you've been using for I worked for them for 21 years. So you've got to somehow let that all fall away and find what you do. Find how it is, who it is that this guy, how he's ended up being able to work with people. So, I started coaching people and quickly found that, all those years and years and years of training, you lead a program, let's say there's 200 people in the program, and they come up to the microphone and you work with them and you get to the bottom of what's going on with them. and transform it. When you see something happened in your past and the decisions you made around the time, what you made it mean about yourself and life and other people, they all start to shape and influence how you live life. So it's quite, without all the actual distinctions and everything that Landmarks uses, you can just put all that to one side and be with the person. And I can see there's blocks. I can see there's constraints. I can see there's negative conversations therein. I can see there's limiting beliefs. And then it's just a question of, working with the person, asking them questions to get to, what is it that's going on with them? What is actually going on with you that's running the show? So there's things running the show in the background you can't see. And it just takes a thought that you have, and you go, oh, okay, and it goes into the background, and you don't realize it. That starts to shape things. It starts to limit things. It starts to filter out things. It starts to have you start to see life a certain way. So, we're not all aware of that as it's happening, and ongoingly. If I get stuck, I got stuck just this morning, actually. There's something going on inside my business that wasn't working, and it was working, and now it's kind of stopped working. What's going on? It was in the realm of marketing. And so I got on a call with my coach, and I said, well, this has stopped working. Okay, well, what were you doing before? I was doing this. Okay, and then what? Well, I stopped doing that because I got these guys doing it. I'm paying them to do it, and they're doing that. Okay. I stopped doing it myself, what I was doing. I would send it to them. It was just like a blind spot. I hadn't seen. See, things go past real fast. And then all of a sudden you can't see why things aren't working, or why you don't have any power in a situation, or where once you did, perhaps. So, coaches need a coach also. I think anybody who wants to get on in life, anybody who wants to produce results where they're failing to produce the results they want to produce, or they should be able to produce the results. They even know what to do, and they take those actions and they don't work. How come? Something's going on in the background that's having you not see what you need to see. It's having you, influenced in a certain way. You only hear certain things. I mean, you're newly married, right, Mario? Right. If we could be a fly on the wall, you might recognize there's certain times where, well, I said that. No, you didn't. You said this. So one person's arguing with it. They're arguing with each other. This person's clear what they said. This person's clear what you said. And they're not the same thing. How can that possibly be? Well, we hear what we hear, and that is the way it is. It is what we heard, but it doesn't mean it's what the other person said. So,
I want to ask you about something that you speak a lot about. For those of you that don't know, Will is my coach, my one-on-one coach, and we often talk about being powerful. And Landmark taught me the essence of what it means to be powerful. So, what does it mean for you to be powerful?
well, it's not forceful. It's not having a rank or something, or a position, a title. So I've got this title. Everybody has to do what I tell them to do. That's not necessarily powerful. I mean, it might get things done. I used to be in the Air Force. I was a pilot in the Royal Air Force for 10 years. And if we needed the power supply plugging into the airplane, it just say, "Can you plug the power in?" And the guy would go, "Yes, sir," in, right? Now, I came out of the Air Force and flew civilian airlines for about 2 years. And I just remember this one time, we needed the power source plugging in. We're on the ground. I said to the groundsman, I said, can you plug the power in for us, please? Walked away. He walked away. I got this complaint. This guy's blooming shouting at me, telling me what to do. How dare he do that? And I got this whole coaching session from the boss. Was, you can't talk to people like that. You've got to say, how you doing? How's your day going? Oh, wow, we're going to be starting in about 5 minutes. If it's not too much trouble, if you could, if you could plug that in, that'd be awesome. I had to alter the way I talk to people because the way I was talking to people was from like this authority. I was an officer, and this guy's not an officer. Whereas outside, that doesn't work that way. So my speaking had no power. So what does it mean to be powerful? It means when I speak something, it happens. Or if I say I am going to do X, X happens. And the more power you get, the more you can speak something that doesn't exist right now. I'm going to produce this result. I'm going to have this turn around. I'm going to XYZ. And guess what? That's what happens. Not just magically on its own. You got to take action consistent with it, and follow through on it. But that's part of being powerful, doing what you said you would do, operating consistent with who you say that you are, function in a way that is aligned with who you really are. Then there's ease, there's grace, there's you're not, pretending to be this or having to get yourself up for that. You're just really there, and this is where it's going, and we're going to do this. Okay, what's the problem? No drama. What's the problem? Deal with what's actually happening, not all the drama and stories that emanate from people about what's happening. No, get to the facts. If you can really get to the facts, you might not like the facts. Facts might not be what you want to see or hear, but if you can be able to get the facts to be the facts, then you can go, okay, now what are we up to? We're up to this. All right, good. So now what actions can we take? We can do this, we can do this, we can do this. All right, good. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. See how that goes. And actually deal powerfully with things by actually doing what impacts what's happening in the world. So that's a little bit of what it is to be powerful.
So what I'm hearing in that is what it means to be powerful, or a part of what it means to be powerful is to honor your word, is to, as you say, do the things that you say you do. Now we are all living in this very demanding world, especially if we're business owners. We have to take care of our business, of our families, of ourselves. It happens that you say something and you don't do it. Now, what happens then? How does that impact people, and how do you get back to being powerful?
Very good. Well, if you say to your wife, I'm going to do X, or I'm going to be home at this time, or I'll do this when I'm out, and then you don't do it, and you keep saying, I'm going to do X, but you do something other than that, or you don't do it at all, what starts to happen over there where your partner is? And this could be your boss, it could be a colleague, it could be a friend. If you keep saying, I'm going to do this, but then you don't do it, over time, what starts to happen?
I feel a sense of guilt building up inside of me. I feel like I can't trust myself. I'm not a reliable person, not even to myself.
That's what you think. Sorry, that's what
Right,
you feel and think,
right,
right?
right.
What's happening with your partner?
Well, she's gonna trust me less. She's gonna not rely on me. She's not gonna be as open with me because she thinks, I can't trust the guy. He keeps promising me the world, but he's not there for me.
Yeah, it's worse than that. She stops
Oh.
listening to you.
Oh.
Now you've lost her because she doesn't listen to you. What you say, you know, well, we'll see. So now she stops listening to you. So you don't experience her listening. Communication starts to fall away. And guess what? 5 years later, if that, people are divorced. Or, the guy's going, well, my wife doesn't listen to me, but Susie at work, she really listens to me. She really listens. I feel like she's my soulmate. I can tell her anything. She gets it. It's awesome. So he starts having an affair with Susie at work. And his marriage breaks up. He's now with Susie. And then, here we are, 18 months later. He goes, Susie's, I don't know, man. But Mary, whew, she's amazing, right?
Mhm.
So we go back to power. if you want people to listen to you, you have to honor your word with them.
Wow.
Otherwise, they don't listen, and you have no power in the world. Why? Because people don't listen to you. So, when I got it this way round for myself, I then got why it's so important to clean it up if you don't keep your word or you're not going to keep your word with someone. I used to think, oh, it's just a pain in the backside. I have to do it because I said I was going to do it and I didn't do it. Felt like a naughty schoolboy or something like that. No, that's the wrong way around. That's like morality, or you're not a good person, or you're not a good enough person.
Mm.
No, I need to clean my word up because I need people to be able to listen to me. If they don't listen to me, I have no power. I have no say in my life and in the life of others. Why? Because they don't listen. So it's really, if you're interested in being powerful, you have to manage, look after, take care of people's listening of you. And what do they listen to? What you say. You can also say actions speak louder than words and all that stuff. Yeah, fine. That's also included if you don't do the thing, you know. But if you're not going to do it, maybe you're not going to meet that person on time. Great. Well, I'm going to have to send them a message or call them. Hey, I'm stuck in traffic. I'm going to be 10 minutes late. Do you want to reschedule or what do you want to do? I don't want you just hanging around wondering where I am, You don't even have to say that last bit. But by communicating, yes, you're not going to keep your promise to be there at a certain time, but you are honoring the word you gave. You're someone who takes it seriously what they say, and they're listening to you as that. It's important. Oh my God, you're never late. What's going on? So you don't just turn up late, because that's more impact and more difficult to turn around. As soon as you realize you won't be on time, you let them know. Or, delivering on the task you promised to deliver on at work, or whatever it is with your kids. Your kids stop listening to you, and you make promises and you don't do it. I'm going to take you out this weekend, and then you stay at work in your business, working on the business, and I say, I'm so sorry, and you buy them all ice cream and everything, and think it makes it up to them. They might smile at you and stuff like that, but they're listening. Dad doesn't do what he says he's going to do. He said we're going to go out. They're so disappointed. And I know, because I've worked with those adults in the program we were talking about. I've worked with them. My dad didn't care about me. I'm not important. So, sort of things kids make up, sort of things you've made up growing up that you're now trying to make up for. So it's it's not a technique, it's not a this or that. It's really about having a powerful existence, a powerful life, being powerful in the world. And your immediate access is to be conscious of what you say and honor what you say.
Yeah. I think this is a very practical approach to reclaiming your power and maintaining your power in life. And obviously I've experienced this firsthand, which is why we are here today through the work at Landmark, and I've gone through it multiple times, and still to this day I keep rediscovering things. And you mentioned earlier that you said there are things in life that happen to us in the past, or happen in our past, that when we were younger, and in those moments we make up a decision about what it means about ourselves, what it means about life and the people around us. What are some of the most common patterns that you have seen specifically for high achievers and entrepreneurs, of things that happened in their past and how it shapes them moving forward as a business owner?
Right. I think one of the most common ones in high achievers, who they are for themselves, they have to be the best, and they, producing results. And then they get the result and it's kind of hollow. It's not really it. It's great, but it's not really it. So now they've got to produce more results. And that's not, and they work really hard, they work long hours, they're competitive, they're this, that, and it's empty. Why? Because no matter what results you produce, you're not going to fix the thing inside you you're making up for. Or you decided you're not, but you can be this. So now you're not that, but I can be this. My own example, one of the most powerful things I saw for myself. I'm 3 years old, and my dad might have only been 2 or 3 years old, and my dad's telling the whole family the story of how I came along. He said, "Well, we couldn't afford a third baby. Then Mum got pregnant, and we thought, well, we've got two boys already. It'd be nice to have a little girl. So we were looking forward to a little girl, and you popped out. You should have been a little girl." Everyone's laughing, my brothers, my grandmas, everyone. And I had this experience of being humiliated, and they're laughing at me. And the thought was they didn't want me. And they really didn't want me because they wanted a girl. I got double proof. And I went, right, I'm the best. So now, guess what? I spend my life having to be the best. It's like who I've identified with is I am the best. I have to be the best. So I, I remember getting my first ribbon at school. Right, school sports day. I get first, and I'm queuing up in the line, and I'm saying, "This is the." I said, turn to all my friends, Patrick Wright and Christopher Ellis and Paul Ware. I said, "This is the proudest day of my life." And I get this big ribbon. I run home to show my dad, thinking he's going to pick me up and swing me around. He wasn't at home. He was at work. I had to wait for him. And I run down the street, and he's walking up. I said, "Dad, Dad, Dad, look, look." He went, "Oh, oh." And he put his hand in his pocket and he gave me some coins. It's like, oh, it's not what I thought. And I made a decision right there. He's the wrong dad. Wrote him off at 6 years old. And wondered why I have this terrible relationship with my dad. What was all that about? Well, you get back to the moment. My dad had just finished working overtime. He's probably worked like 14 hours in a tractor factory, exhausted. And for him, money was a big deal. That's like the best thing he could give you. But it's not what I expected, not what I wanted, because this was the moment. I'm the best. I got first. Unbeknownst to me, I was still trying to fix the thing I decided when I was 2 or 3 years old, and that went all through my life. I had a drawer full of first ribbons. I never came second. All the school sports days up to 11, all firsts. Everything I did had to be the best. Had to be the best. Like there's no way I'm not going to be the best, no matter what it was. I didn't realize how much that was all about making up for really believing they didn't want me. And these are really powerful. And then you get to being an adult. I'm in the Air Force. I can't just be a pilot and be happy with being a pilot. No, I've got to be a single seat Harrier pilot because they're the best of the best. Nothing less. Anything less is just a complete, like, my life is over. So it wasn't until I, actually saw that there's what happened, and then there's, what I made up, my interpretation, my thoughts I had to myself at the time. So getting back to entrepreneurs, they've got something like that where really for themselves, they probably wouldn't admit it to anybody. Who they are for themselves is not good enough. So they have to be this. See, being the best is not the same as being good enough. Being first is not the same as being good enough. It's at least a little bit different, but you can win that game. You can win that game, but it never fixes that core belief you have about yourself. So, that's why people burn out. That's why people get, midlife crisis. That's why, you got these, I've led the forums of some very, very, very wealthy people who are just completely sad inside until they get, oh my God, oh man, so that's it. That's what my life's about.
Yeah, I resonate with this deeply. Obviously, I am I can be categorized as one of those high achievers. And I remember what I discovered in the forum was an incident that happened when I was in school. I think it was first or second grade, and we were playing ball. And I brought the ball from home, and one of the girls stopped the ball game, picked up the ball in front of the whole schoolyard, looked at me, and said, "Mario, that's wrong. You can't do that. That's against the rules." And I felt so petrified in that moment because everybody was looking at me. And what I made it mean was that they're all against me, that I am wrong. There's something wrong with me. So I went up to her. I took the ball and I said, "This is my ball. I make the rules. I will show you. And
Mm.
I will show you became the pattern of my life, proving myself. I constantly tried to prove myself to everybody in my life, which became a similar thing to you, right? Just like you, I went into a pilot career. But the reason I wanted to become a pilot was because it was the most honorable, respectful thing that I could potentially find. That if I achieved that for Lufthansa in Germany, people would be like, "Oh my God, my son Mario, he did it! Yay!" And I went into it, and I became severely depressed. I toyed with suicide, chronic back pain, and I landed at this place called rock bottom. And in my relationships, the way that it looked like is I was never able to get to a place of having real intimacy because it would conflict with this idea of I got to prove myself. The moment I really showed my authentic self, there's nothing more to prove. And so I didn't ever allow anybody to see that. So what I would do is, oh wow, do you see that as well?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Um, what I did was that I kept people at an arm's length, especially in intimate relationships, and I would sabotage the relationship. I would end it before it got to the point of me having to be really vulnerable. And
Mm.
then I could tell myself, it's just not working out, it's not Janine. Oh, maybe they're over there. It's Maria, right? So, and I would hop on to the next and next until my wife, which is why she's my wife, helped me open up and be vulnerable and really be authentic. And it changed the whole dynamic.
Mm. Beautiful. Yeah. Great. Yeah, it's powerful stuff, you know?
So I want to know about what is something that you are working on or that you are focused on inside of yourself. Because I imagine somebody like you, having coached so many people, having done so much of this inner work on a consistent basis, there's a story that I tell myself sometimes like, I mean, at some point there's nothing more to work on, right? You're just it. You're just
Mm.
fully enlightened and there's nothing else more that's going on in your life. So what's something that you are focused on healing within yourself at the moment? Do you find that at some point you get to a place where it's all done? There's nothing more to be done. You're enlightened, or would you say it's an ongoing, never ending process?
I think something I'm always at work on, always questioning, always looking, because there's always juice in it, is to see where integrity is out. Where is it lacking? You know, uh, talking about the previous program that I used to lead, most of my preparation was about that. What haven't I done? Where is it out? Who do I need to get in touch with, communicate with to restore that? Like that. So, and people talk about integrity as morality. I don't want to distinguish it too much here, but when things aren't the way they should be, or you've allowed things to slide, or you have agreements with yourself that you must do or not don't do, and you break those agreements, or you don't keep those agreements, or you let things not be where they should be, like, just for example, putting things away where they should be, right? It creates um, it creates uh, inefficiency, in your
Hmm.
working. So, you know, somebody once told me a long time ago, she was before even Landmark, and she'd led programs back in the 60s. And she said, it's something I learned very, very long time ago. If you want to be efficient, put things back where they belong. And for some reason, it really stuck with me. So I put things back where they're supposed to be. Because I can look for something for half an hour and it's just literally, 12 inches away from where it should be. It's incredible because I can't see it because it's not where it's supposed to be. And I can't, like that. So, if you don't put things back where they belong, very, very simple thing, right? So I'm, uh, I maintain my integrity. I am on the lookout for my integrity because we can con ourselves. We're con artists. We will yeah, that's okay. And suddenly then you don't see that thing, you kind of go unconscious to that area, whatever it might be. It might be your health, it might be um, finances, it might be your taxes, it might be, um, an untidy part of your house, you know, something where you just kind of keep walking over it and you become numb to it. Or in your world, as you would say to people you work with, you become not present, not conscious. So you become less and less present, less conscious. So
Mm.
it's just something that never transforms. You've got to literally always be at work on. It's so. I would say, am I currently at work on that? I'm always on the lookout for that because I have learned over the years, the moment I assume it's in, I'm in trouble.
Mm.
I'm in trouble. Things are going to go bad very quickly, as in results will start going down, or all of a sudden people they don't want to talk to me, or what's going on? I got to look. Where is my integrity out? Where is it lacking? What? How come this is happening? And certainly in relationships and working with people, there's something you said you would do and then you didn't do it, and then you didn't even talk about it or mention it. You just kind of carried on, you know, because well, let's say you did forget, you just forgot about it. You didn't think it as a thing. It is there as a presence, whether you realize it or not. You might be unconscious to it, but it is there, and it becomes a barrier between you and the other person. So if you can get to what's off in your relationship that lacks integrity, like they said this, and I said, like you said earlier, I said, yeah, I'll do that, and then you just forgot about it and carried on as normal. They don't forget about it. If you and I went out on a night out, let's say, and you know, I said to you, "Oh shoot, I haven't got my wallet. Have you got any cash?" And you give me £50, right? And then we carry on with the night, and then I wake up the next day, I've forgotten about it, and what's there for you the next time we meet?
Hmm. You haven't paid me back.
That's right, but you might be polite, and they're just waiting for me to do it, and then I don't do it, right? Because
Right.
I've forgotten, you know. Uh, um, Whether you realize it or not, those things are there in people's relationships. And every time we meet, that's there. And then you become more and more distant from me. And you don't even realize why it's happening. I don't realize why it's happening. And all of a sudden, we used to be really close, but we're not close anymore. It's just, I don't know. You know, I mean, that's a trite example, but that could happen for people.
Mm.
But there's whatever it is. So you've got to be really alert to and mindful. And if you make a promise to someone, write it down. I put it straight in the calendar. If I don't put it in the calendar, I know because it's not in my calendar. If I put it, if I'm on a pad, if I've got a pad, a notepad, and I put it in the notepad, I know I'm going to turn the page, and I might not look at that notepad again. It's disappeared. I have to put it somewhere that it's going to show up, so that I do the thing I've just said I'm going to do. Otherwise, forget it. So I am really trained, and buys you nothing. You've got to be mindful and on the lookout for where you're going to sleep, where are you getting lazy, where are you not doing things the way they're supposed to be done. So that's something I'm constantly at work on for myself. Healing, if something's off, I had a conversation with my branding people today, and something's not had stopped working, and the person in charge went on vacation beginning of August, first week of August or something, and they went away for 3 weeks. And there's certain things they didn't hand over, so certain things stopped happening. And when they came back, it didn't get picked up either. So here we are. It's been in October. So I'm like not walking over that. I got to deal with that. And
Mm.
part of me doesn't want to be, wants to be, all great. We're all getting on. No, no, no. Stop. This is not working.
Mm.
We've got to get it to work.
Yeah.
And even that's not morality. It's not like, I could tell you you're a bad person and you should have done this and you should have done that. Yeah, well, I got it. And here we are. Now what we're going to do? How we're going to
Yeah.
rectify the situation.
Yeah. You're taking, from what I'm hearing, you're taking out the charge that is often that often comes with good, bad, and you're really focusing on, here's the facts. We
Yes.
agreed that get done by this time. Okay,
Yes.
it didn't get done. Now let's look at that. How
Yeah.
can we make it work? What's the impact that it's been creating? How can we rectify that? And
Yes.
I see, especially in the entrepreneurial world, this is so important because these emotional charges that come with the morality aspect of it just create so much inefficiency, so much additional time. Like you said, our business is about relationships ultimately. And if there's something between you and the client or the partner or somebody who's servicing you, the things that need to get done don't get done at the time they need to get done because we're not addressing them with
Yes.
conversations. We're moving away from it. And you've done this with me very powerfully. And I'm curious if you find the same is true for money blocks. So money, we're in relationship to everything in life. Nothing
Mm.
is the way that it is, it's all the way that we relate to it. So
Yes.
can apply the same to our relationship with money?
Uh, for sure. I'm not quite sure it's exactly the same, right? But there is a relationship you have to money. There are conversations going on that you have about money. Um, when I first started, I worked for a very modest salary at my last position, right? And then I start coaching and, get coached on the fees for coaching and what you need to charge. And I just used to get very uncomfortable when it came to telling people how much the coaching is. And so that was something to heal, because it was between me and really serving the person.
Mm.
You can, I really did get the people who pay high fees for coaching get most out of it. They've got something at stake. They've got skin in the game. The more they pay, the more they pay attention, and the more value they get. And it's kind of great for the coach, right? Because you charge more. It's easier to produce the results with the person because they're more invested. If they got coaching
Mm.
free with you, well, yeah, take it or leave it. I've had probably, if not the best, one of the best coaches in the world. But he wasn't my actual coach for my performance. He was awesome. And stuff he said speaks to me today. It comes up. So it was very, very powerful. But I was not applying it because he wasn't really my real coach for me. And I wasn't paying anything for that. And nobody was holding me to account for the coaching he was giving me. I wasn't being held to account for following the coaching. So it didn't work. And, this guy's
Mm.
definitely one of the best coaches in the world you'll ever meet. So there needs to be a commitment, and today that's financial. There needs to be a financial commitment. So when it came to that, asking for the fee, before I kind of got all that for myself as a context,
Mm.
I felt a bit, it's easy for me coaching people. I've been doing it for so long. I can see what's going on with you, I'll ask you questions until you see it for yourself, rather than just tell you, because it's not powerful to tell you. You have to see it yourself, rather than just be information and take your notes. If you take notes and go away, go, what was that thing? And have to look at your notes. You didn't get it. You didn't get what it is that there is to get. So there we are at that moment. And it was just some conversations over here, like, it's a lot of money. And it's my money conversations. And I was brought up in Yorkshire, the north of England. And I delivered milk from 3 years old. I used to go in the milk truck with my mom, and we're always in the conversation. The conversational environment was money's scarce and you have to hold on to it, and, don't spend it. If you save it, don't spend it. So you got to hold on to it, don't spend it, and it's hard to get. So money had a grip on me, you know? So I had to do some kind of healing work, and I had to do some distinguishing of all of that that's going on. And you can distinguish it, you can see it, but there's still a physical reaction which can be healed. You can do that through energy work, right? That can actually dissipate that's in the body trap, and that's not necessarily in language, it's in the body, you know. So I go deeper now than I used to go because I brought in lots of different pieces to heal those things. But that conversation with money, it is a relationship to money, but it's like, there's a conversation about charging the fee that you're supposed to charge, uh
Mm.
another conversation might be, well, what's the point anyway, because I can make all this money but it kind of always seems to disappear. I can never hang on to it. Okay, good. So you're now not going to go and make loads of money, because what's the point? So you've got to get that distinguished. You've got to get that disappeared. So you're free to create wealth, to create, abundance in your life. It's interesting. I had one client with me. I'm not going to say his name, and he was very specialized in what he did. And the kind of end result of what the work he did with people was, people were really, really overweight, and he could have them lose the weight, but he had to have them for 12 months. Because the first part is getting rid of the weight, but then there's really literally reprogramming the gut. Gut is one of, you've got a brain, and you've got an ancillary brain called the heart brain, and you've got the gut brain, right? So you have to literally reprogram, rewire the gut so that you now don't crave those foods that are bad for you, and you don't go back into your bad habits. So you have to really kind of stabilize them and then retrain them in eating healthy. So it's a 12-month program. It's really awesome, works. And he was charging peanuts for it. I'm like, I mean, there are only so many hours in a day. This guy had 70 clients. He was speaking to 70 clients a week.
What?
Yeah. And he was charging them something like $350 a month. I said, you've got to be kidding me. This should be at least $2,000 or $5,000 a month for these guys. He goes, oh, well, I can't charge that. I said, why not? Well, it's just so obvious, I mean, I feel like I'm manipulating people, and And he told this whole story about it. His whole world was there for him. And I said, well, wait. You said manipulated. See, I hear things that have a certain weight to them. I said, you said manipulated. So did people manipulate you? Have you manipulated someone, or have you seen money, in life, people manipulating other people that stuck out for you? He goes, oh, it happens all the time. He said, just recently, a few years ago, I got this great business idea. I got two other colleagues to come together with me. We formed a business, and then they cut me out and went off with my idea. I said, oh, interesting. I said, right now, you're feeling something. What does that remind you of? And he got in touch with the feelings and the emotion of it. And, we ended up having a conversation about when he's 11 years old, and godparent had molested him and given him money at the end, right? And he'd always given him money before, but on this occasion he gave him money, and he's just like, you don't own me. And he made himself up, that he's, there's something wrong with him, he's bad. Made a lot of decisions back there. And
Wow.
Once he saw this thing for what it was like a domino effect through his life, how that had showed up everywhere. And he would work for corporations. He'd get promoted because he's super smart, super clever, really, 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 really smart guy. And they'd promote him, and they'd start giving me these big bonus checks, and I'd just get so uncomfortable. I'd leave the company. I'd move on. Why? I didn't want to
Wow.
be owned. And then he can't charge it. Immediately after that, he put his price up to $2,000 a month, from $350 to $2,000 a month. No problem. He got more clients, and all the other clients who couldn't afford to, pay the new fee, he trained somebody else to coach them. So he cut his hours down enormously, put that up like that. So,
Wow.
it's amazing where it comes from. What you think is just a thing. Talk to somebody who can hear what you can't hear and can see what you can't see. We'll get back to where all that comes from.
That's so profound if you think about this example that you shared. Is that because you've had an experience in the past where he was molested, where you felt like the sense of somebody took ownership over him through money, then he transmitted that into his business, where if I was to charge people more money, they would own me. So
But
no way I'm going to do that.
also, he'd owe them something. Like somehow now he's bound.
Right, right. Okay, yes, yes. It's just fascinating for me to see these things and to understand it, because if you look at the landscape of online products and coachings, or what people call coaching, and on how to grow businesses, I would say maybe 1% of that addresses what we're talking about.
Yeah.
99% of everything out there is just about, yeah, you should just charge more money. You should just charge more money.
Mm.
Okay, okay, I should charge more money. And then you're not going to able be to do it, or you do it but you can't sustain it, and the whole thing breaks down. And so this is so fascinating that you can, from what happened in the past, can extract it to how it's showing up in their life. And would you say that when you do that, you can help somebody see how they're actually, I wonder what the right word is, and I'm leaning on you for this one. Is it creating or attracting these scenarios back into their life where they say, somebody cut me out of the business deal, and it
Mm.
keeps happening?
Yeah. Yeah. Those patterns will keep happening because your behavior gets shaped. It's like you've got filters, and you see this. They're talking, and you see this bit. So that bit, you see that because that fits with what you already believe, understand, know already.
Hmm.
So if you can't discern between, the whole picture, what's actually happening, and just your little kind of take on it, you know, um, I've had a conversation with people and they say, "Oh, you mean this?" And you're like, "No, no, I don't just mean that. I mean this." And they're trying to fit what you're saying into their you know structure of understanding is probably a better way to talk about it, like a structure of understanding, how it fits there, and there. Um, so it's really difficult with human beings, communicating without um, some guidance, without some opening up and being able to see what's really happening. Um, we're so ineffective, and we could be so effective.
Where do you see this going in the future? Like the future of entrepreneurship, the future of business, as what I'm seeing is, a much more conscious world. A lot of people waking up, becoming more aware, diving more into the technologies that you and I are talking about. Where do you see all of this moving?
It's interesting you should say that. So I was in a conversation today talking about theory U, and I don't know if you ever studied it or not, but basically that if you look, there's a future that's wanting to arise. There is a future that's not
Hmm.
been before. It's not like an extrapolation of the past, or it's not like what you're forecasting. But if you can really look, there's a future emerging. And, for that to emerge, we need to work together. People need to work together, collaborate, uh, um, be able to resolve problems as a team, and and that takes a certain way of managing for that to be able to be possible. If you look, I'll give you an example. It's not entrepreneurial, but it kind of makes the point. If you look at, just look at the political structure in this country, we have, House of Commons, we have, Parliament, and somebody says something. It's like what we call an Oxford debate. Somebody says something and someone argues about it, or someone has a different point and someone argues against that, and nothing gets resolved. No new solutions come up. Just people either win their point and get their point across until they've annihilated the opposition and got that their point is the point, right? And that's basically what we've got: combatants and arguing. Versus, what if we had a dialogue? Somebody, proposes an idea, and then somebody else goes, "Oh, okay, all right. Well, if we did that, and then we could do this," like they can add to it. They can't just shoot it down. They can only either add to it enhance it? And if you did this, what would that make then available? So you could actually have a dialogue that created something new in a dance with the future that's wanting to show up. How we're going to handle it, how we're going to work it out together. And you get solutions way more powerful than somebody's got a view about this and the way to do this, and we need to do it like this. So yeah.
I think what you're describing is what leads to a more peaceful world, because it's a more unified world. It's a more accepting world. It's a world that is based on the notion of understanding that we're all different in our expression, yet we're all the same at our basic core. And I'm wondering, how do you define peace?
Hmm. Well, as you're talking, one of the things that gets in the way is right and wrong. So right and wrong, where does right and wrong live? It lives in our opinions, our conversations with ourselves, right? Who's right, who's wrong? It depends who you talk to. So, or if there was a world where there's no right and wrong, like you're wrong for following that God, and you're right because you worship the same God as me, or you're wrong because you got a different political viewpoint. No, you've got yours, and there's this one I've got over here. And actually, there's some value in that one, and there's, I think there's more value in this one, but I can see that bit and that bit, and I think human beings need to evolve to not be so caught up in having to be right
Mhm.
or proving themselves or needing to be in control or being the one that's, the one that says it, and I'm not talking, I'm talking something new, actually, something new where it's about getting things to function, getting things to work for each other. It's possible to have a whole planet with different religions, different political points of view, different financial structures, different, um, ways of life, different cultures. It's possible to actually enjoy all these different ones, not kill them off because they're not the same as mine. One of the things that I say I've been blessed with is I have a real curiosity for different cultures and different peoples. I, it fascinates me. Traveling all over the world was like, wow, a real gift, a real gift. I've been to all different kind of cultures, and what was there for me is just really trying to get why it's like that for them, and why it's like that for them, and why they think like that, and why is that okay? Oh, that's okay because okay, got it. I can see why you see it that way. If I saw it that way, I'd probably think the way you think. All right. Now, it's not wrong. It's a possible way to see it.
Right.
By not making it wrong or saying it's wrong or judging it good or bad, by understanding each other, then I have an access to be able to contribute and access to make a difference.
Mm.
And I developed that for myself. You have to, if you want to produce the result called people, having a new life, a transformation. You have to be able to get over there with them. Same if you're going to be a great coach, you've got to be able to be over there with the person. So, and it's not wrong. It's one possible way people coach, but to say coaching is and has become a lot of I did this. I built a business from, no money to 7, 8 figures in 6 months. I'm going to coach you to do the same as I did. Okay, that's more like mentoring someone or being a consultant with someone. Where real coaching is, I'll work with you and have you discover
Mm.
I'd like you to consider you've got everything you need. You might not have some of the actual information, and I need to go and learn this, and I need to go and study that. But within you, you have what you need. You're just blocked. Like, oh, I'm not good at this, or I'm not good at maths, or I'm not a this kind of person. So I need somebody else to do that for me, or I can't. It won't get done. Well, it's just limiting beliefs, and they get set up just like that. Now, I remember 8 years old. There I am. We're doing a spelling test, and I couldn't get this word right. So I got put in the B group for spelling. And I just said to myself and out loud to other people, I'm just not good at spelling. So I didn't pay any attention to spelling. So I become an adult who doesn't really spell very well. He makes mistakes. How do you spell that? How do you spell that? I was always asking other people. And it dawned on me, because leading programs, you write on the board. So you pay attention because everyone's paying attention to what you're putting up there. They've got to be spelled correctly. I just realized I'd never actually learned how to spell words. From about 8, I stopped because I stopped paying attention.
Wow.
So it wasn't that I couldn't or I wasn't able to. I'd literally told myself I'm not good at that. So I'm not going to do it because I'm not good at it. I mean, how simple is that? And then they say people, I'm not good at maths. I'm not a maths person. Well, something similar happened to you. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
I mean, you might argue for that percentage of people who doesn't see letters the right way around and things like that. I'm actually one of those with numbers, which is a problem as a pilot when you're dialing in frequencies for the radio and it's the wrong way around. You got to keep catching yourself. But it doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean there aren't ways around it. They write it, they speak it, and I wrote it down on my knee. You have a knee pad there, wrote it down, and then I check back, let a number by. Okay, good. So I managed to work around it. It's possible. You can learn. You can learn what you want to learn. You're not going to be good at the piano the first time you sit down and play the piano. But if you go, oh, I can't do this, and that's it, I'm not a piano player. Oh, good. Well, you'll never be one. Why? You didn't practice. Nobody's good at the beginning. No one.
True.
At almost anything.
Yeah.
But we make decisions and we limit ourselves.
So essentially, what I'm hearing in my question to you, what is peace? Peace is something that transcends right or wrong. It lives in the space of what's possible. And that's something that I can definitely resonate with in so many different ways, especially in the interpersonal relationships where right and wrong is a constant companion. Where when I learned to move beyond that and to look at, just like you said, it's like, well, from their perspective, they did the best they could. Right? My dad did the best he could.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know what he was saying. From his idea, when he was making a comment about me getting married and asking me 5 times whether I'm sure, he was coming from his own experience with having gone through a failed marriage.
Yeah.
So in his perspective, he was trying to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because he loves me. And
Yes.
so if I come with that chain of thought,
Yes.
I come back to a warm feeling. It's
Yes.
like he just doesn't know how to express it in the way that I want it to be expressed.
Yes.
And that changes the game. And that allows me to relax, that allows me to not fight, to not argue, and it's changing the game, on a personal level for me. And then I don't have all that baggage that I'm carrying behind me. My dad calls me and oh my God, I don't see that. There's more joy, there's more liberation in those relationships, and that ultimately creates much more efficiency in what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Yeah. A few answers, if you like, came to mind to the question peace. How do you have peace? Well,
Please.
it would be resolving inner conflict. Once some things no longer a conflict. I notice I got black on my thumb. My printer, I just had to refill it before it got extra on my thumb, and it doesn't come off. It's like permanent, so it will
It's your new
eventually.
tattoo.
Yeah, no, it'll eventually wear off. But I see it on the print on the video. Um, um, yeah. So if you resolve those inner conflicts, those then there's peace around that. My mother would ask me, and still would ask me, "Have you eaten? Do you want something to eat? Do you want a cup of tea?" It's like constant. Now, that used to really bug me. It used to really annoy me. I used to get really annoyed, and I did not have inner peace around my mother, right? Until I realized that's how she says, "I love you." That's her thing. She likes people to eat. I was bringing the boys over, and she seemed all kind of stressed out. I said, "What's going on? What's going on?" She said, "What do they eat?" I said, "Well, they like sausages and mashed potato. They love that." Oh, right. So she's now happy, and she's got, so I get them sausages ready for them boys. And, she's all happy because that's what she does. That's how she expresses, one of the ways she expresses her love is to feed you. So now I don't hear, what I used to hear was, "Have you eaten?" I said, "What, can't take care of myself? Do you think I'm some kid, some little boy or something?" No, 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 no. That's all resolved. It's just, she's just saying, "I love you." That's how she's doing it. So there's peace there. You get me? There's no reaction, or not the same reaction. Sometimes there is, and oh wait, hang on, whoa, it's just my mom being my mom. So there's resolving those inner conflicts, and then there's also being at peace with what's so, versus resisting the way things are, or resisting the way people are. They are the way they are. They don't have to ask your permission. They are that way. If they're that way, that's how they are. Should they be different? Well, who made you the judge? By being the judge, you're the one suffering. You don't have peace because they should be different. Well, they're not, and this is what we have to work with. Well, if you can, embrace and love people the way they are, and and I promise you, in all their bound upness and the way they are, that's their highest level of expression of love for you. Oh, I see. You doubt me. Well, that's an unusual expression, but hey, I'll take it. Oh, you're questioning me. You're questioning me because you want the best for me. Oh, okay, fine. I'll take it. Versus, you shouldn't be questioning me. How dare you question me? That's all resisting what is. If you can love them just the way they are, and for the way I hold it is, that's their highest expression of being able to express their love. That's it. And those barriers melt pretty soon.
Exactly. And then you have a sense of space, a sense of freedom, which you can fill with new possibilities. And the larger that space gets, the more of the healing that you have experienced and created, the more exciting possibilities and opportunities can you now hold. And that's why this work is so, 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 so important for anybody who has great ambitions and who wants to make a positive splash in the world. And I think this is the perfect way to end and to conclude our conversation. It's been
Right?
very insightful. You have delivered a beautiful, value-driven insights that I know many of our listeners will appreciate. Question for you, Will. Where can people find you? And I remember that you have a gift for people that are listening to this episode.
Yes. So, I start off, I do a group, I coach people one-on-one, executives, business owners, but I also do a group program for coaches, business coaches. And the first session, I have them create a future. If there were no barriers, there's nothing in the way, what would you create for your life? You see, then we can work backwards. That's what you really want. Okay, with no restrictions, this is what I really want. Okay, and what's in the way? What shows up when you go, well, as you use the example, money, I want to have $1 million. All right, okay, what's wrong with that? What's in the way for you? And stuff will show up, and that's where you can do the deep work on inside. So it's an opportunity to work through that. It's just ask you questions. What about this area? What about this area? What about this area? So you get a full picture, and you can create what my life is about statement, which, if that's what your life's about, it's a bigger context than just kind of, waking up in the morning and just going through the motions and doing more of what you did yesterday, or trying to get someplace, or when I get that goal, then I'll be, no, this is what my life is about. It's beyond all of that. And what I'm doing is inside this new context that I've created for my life. This is what my life is about. Why? I said so. I created it. So you get the opportunity to create that. It's a PDF. You can download it, print it out. And this final statement, I recommend people laminate it. So if you laminate it, it's solid. You can read it every morning, every evening. Not really like an affirmation, but sometimes it just kind of tunes you in to seeing these opportunities. It tunes you in to aligning what you're looking for, what you're out for, and opportunities show up that you wouldn't normally see because you've already created what you're really about and what you're up to. So yeah, that's I think you'll put a link somewhere for people to download that. They can have that. If you want to talk about working with me, the best thing is to go to my website, willsteele.com. Very simple. You go there, you can communicate, and I'll get an email and we can talk like that. Or, you can email me. It's will.steele.gm, like Gmail, but gm@gmail.com. So send me an email. We'll set up a time to talk. And, I give people, if I can see we're a fit, I'll give people a free coaching session and we'll create what their life's about. We'll create what's possible and we'll unconceal the challenges, the barriers, or some of them, the main ones that are right there stopping you realize your dreams, realize what you really want. So the first part, you're creating a future that's compelling, that's empowering, that's really what you really want. If you took all limitations away, that's what I want. So it's authentic to you. Then you'll conceal as I said, the barriers to that. And you'll leave the coaching call lit up, reignited, re-energized, inspired to get your business growing faster and easier than ever before. So that's the free coaching session I want to offer your listeners who are interested in that. And, like that. And if they want to talk about my coaching, we can do that at the end of the coaching call if you want to.
Beautiful. I will be sure to add all of the links in the show notes so people know how to find you. Well, thank you very much for blessing us today with your time and energy and your insights. I highly appreciate it. And I appreciate you, my dear friend, listener of this podcast. With that, we conclude another episode of the Zenpreneur podcast, and I will see you on the next episode.
Thank you.